Hello and welcome to the United Devil channel with, of course, me, JB. I hope we're all doing really well on the 2nd of August. And yeah, I hope we're all doing really well. How's our weekend at the moment? It's a little bit up and down when it comes to football. Hope you're having a good one, whatever you did. I'd love to know what you did on your Friday night. We have a pre-season game, last one of the tour, the Premier League series in America tomorrow. We'll be doing a watch along for that. So overnight, I jumped on this as well last night, as I will always say, whenever news breaks, any pertinent news breaks, I will always come back on and let you guys know. So where the hell are we with everything? And we can look at it, break it down. Let's go through what's happening so far, and then I can talk about my feelings on it. You can talk about yours. Let's get into the chat. Let us know what you think at the moment. I'll give you my view as well on what I've said, and then we can go through it all. So where the hell are we? So currently, and I can give you some quotes and whatever else on where this is all coming from. So as of yesterday, it broke quite late that Sesko has chosen to go to Newcastle, and that is what he plans to do. So that was broken last night by a journalist in Slovenia. I forget his name, like Slovan something. I'm sure somebody will put that into the chat. Now, everyone else picked up on that, and that includes the Sun, the Metro, everybody else. And, you know, but then there were contrary reports to that, basically saying that no, that actually this is not the case. He's still trying to figure out what he's trying to do. And then, obviously, on the other side of that, there's a case of no, he hasn't chosen what he's doing. A couple of days before, and I was in this camp, was that actually Sesko has already agreed terms with United. We're already doing the structure of the deal, and ultimately it's going to be a couple of days, but he's going to announce that he's going to come to United. Now, I fell in that camp. I will pick that up, but let's go through what's actually being said at the moment. So depending on where you go, so contrary now, this has all come out in the last hour. It's all come out in the last half an hour, 2 hours. So where we are right now. So according to, we'll go this. So according to David Ornstein, so for those of you who are David Ornstein fans, I am myself. He is a mouthpiece for the club. So he's going to put the news out there. And when he does speak, he doesn't put things out there that are not true. So David Ornstein, about an hour ago, has said this. So Newcastle submit an offer to RB Leipzig for Sesko, have bid in a deal worth 75 million euros plus 5 around the asking price. So RB Leipzig have informed suitors of the deal, aiming at us. The pursuit is ongoing. No decisions for the Slovenian striker have been made yet. So for me, right now, if Ornstein has come out and said that, he hasn't chosen yet. So he hasn't chosen to contrary to those reports that have come out there. Sesko hasn't decided to go to Newcastle yet. So those reports who prematurely come out and said that he is gone and he's there. David Ornstein in the last hour has come out and said that Newcastle have submitted an offer to Leipzig. For Sesko in the last 24 hours, the bid is 75 plus 5 mil. And it's around the asking price. So they've informed United that is what Newcastle have done. I will give you my opinions on that as well. Device is in the chat. Hello, my friend. It all depends on the player. Now, yes, I do think that, but I do think Sesko's opinion has changed. But let me get through this bit, right? Okay, now Craig Hope, who again I quoted yesterday, has come out again in the last hour. So he's put this into pounds. So Craig Hope is the Daily Mail Okay, so the overall paper basically went with this last night that Sesko is chosen to go to Newcastle. That is what they said. Now Craig Hope is he is the guy to Newcastle. He is the guy out there, so he knows his stuff. And he's come out in the last hour and said that Newcastle have offered 65 plus 4.4 for Sesko. And the club, but club side of things was never thought to be the biggest obstacle with this deal, which is why Sesko's own wishes were largely determines what happens next. So again, Sesko hasn't decided he's going to Newcastle. So that basically, Toxic United, hello my friend. So the reports that are coming out from more of the credible people. And I think this is all to do with the bid that went in last night. They clearly made a bid last night, and this is where this has come from. Toxic United says Newcastle doesn't change the plays. The preference Sesko's chosen United. Don't panic this time. This time I am the source. Toxic. I'll come on to that as well, my friend. Jay. Hi, buddy. How you doing? I hope you're doing really well today. He hasn't chosen this right, so I'll give you my opinion and get your opinions in the chat, and we can walk through this as we always do with an intelligent and logical debate. Now, Ross Harwood, who I went with yesterday, and the reason why I went with Ross Harwood was because logically, from everything up until the point yesterday indicated to me that I believe Ross Harwood is right, and I still do believe he's right. So what he said is the Newcastle's bid doesn't change the player's the preference of the player, and disturb when you're trying to do something, right? So Ross Harwood has come out in the last hour. He's standing by this. And he said that Newcastle's bid doesn't change the preference of the player. Sesko has chosen to come to United. Don't panic. Okay, so we've got David Ornstein, who pretty much when he comes out and says stuff, it is pretty much going to be true. He said Newcastle have submitted an offer to Leipzig for Sesko. Euros wise, it's worth 75 plus 5 around the asking price. Now that for me is a positive. It may not be for you, but that is a positive for me, and I'll get on to that, why that is a positive for me. Backed up then by Craig Hope, who again I think people need to listen to him. 65 plus 5 in pounds, 65.5 plus £4. And again, it's not the club side. Trinidad place a Jimmy Bullard. I tell you what, I wish I was as good as he was. Okay, let's have a little look at the chat. So Jay, I'll be honest, there is no point buying Sesko if we're going to loan sell Haaland. That's putting pressure on Sesko, relying on a kid. Same failures. Jay, we can come to all this. This is fantastic in the chat. So where we are, at least, is that all the reports last night that coming out. So the journalist, the Slovenian one, has definitely been put to bed as a load of rubbish. Okay, so that is a load of crap. I think where it come from was the fact that Newcastle have now gone in for a proper bid. So I personally, and I'm still in the camp, and I'm not panicking. I'm not, ultimately I'm calm, because whatever happens. There's nothing that we can do about it. We can all have our opinions on it. One of us is going to be right, one of us is going to be wrong. But logically, everything up until yesterday indicated, Newcastle, their reports were they were going to pull out. Plattenberg, tier 1 from the Bundesliga, last few weeks has said Sesko prefers to come to us. We've entered talks for Sesko. Then we've made a bid, Ross Harwood has come out and basically said that, this is pretty much there or thereabouts. Now, I was always of the opinion that Sesko wanted to come to United. That for me was right. And I do genuinely believe that that still is the case. Now, what I did say last night doesn't mean I'm right. Again, this is an opinion. Before everything happened, and I think I said watch out today for a bid, and I think I said that towards the end of the stream yesterday, is logically for me, I believe Sesko wants to come to United. I do believe that deal's done. I do believe there is agreement with the player. The only way I could see Newcastle getting this deal done is if they go full ball. If they launched a massive, massive bid, they're going to give this player anything that he wants. They're going to give Sesko whatever he wants. And Sesko wants somebody to make a fuss of him effectively. And the only way for them to get this deal done was always going to go big, or this is their final play. Because in my opinion, they're not going to get a player necessarily over us in terms of the stature of the player. But what cannot be denied is that they do have Champions League football. They're going to have about 130, 140 million pounds in the bank to spend. Sesko's pretty much the best of the rest. So why wouldn't they go for this player? It absolutely makes sense that they were going to go all out for this player. So they've gone home. Now, why I said that the deal, why I think I'm happier with the price. Now, I thought that Newcastle were going to go absolutely hard on this, like 75 plus 5. That will blow us out of the water. There is no way. And would I be comfortable playing around 80 million for Sesko? Probably not. Now, according to Craig Hope, their offer is 65.5 plus 4.4. I'm not concerned about that deal. I mean, I thought it was going to be a lot higher. And for all the bluster that's happened out there and all the reports that they've come in and they're going to offer this massive deal, I'm generally not worried about the price. So I don't think there's an issue with the price. We can match that price. Where I think the sticking point is, where I think Sesko's head might be turned, is on two things. Number one is the amount of money offered to him. Ultimately, as much as these players can be respectful and they are ambitious players, if somebody's offering you 400 grand a week after tax, you don't know what's going to happen there. He may be turned by that, whether he wants us or not. Ultimately, he's still got a family. I don't know if he's got kids. He's got a mum, a dad. He's got family, and his family might say, "Well, look, United are not going to offer you 400k. We may be 250 to 200k." And if Newcastle said, "Look, we will offer you twice that amount of money," what would you do? So where I'm at on it is I still believe, and I'm calm on this, and I am calm. Whatever happens, what can we do? I still believe that this community, and we were right up until yesterday. The only thing that I think that was going to scupper this deal is if Newcastle didn't leave. They did reject a bid for Isak, and the only way that I believe that they were going to get this deal done was to pay over the odds for this deal. And if they do that, then I'm almost comfortable with the fact if they pay 80 million for Sesko, I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable to walk away at that price. I think 80 million is a massive gamble, and if that's the price, if Leipzig won a bidding war of that, then I'd be more than happy to walk away from that deal at 80 million pounds. So as far as I'm concerned, I still think Sesko has agreed terms with us. I do think we've agreed terms with Leipzig. It's now Newcastle are going to go hard, and it's about how hard they go, and will Sesko be turned by the money? And that's where I'm on it. I still think that Ross Harwood is right. It just, as we say, until it's signed, deals can go either way, right? If Newcastle come in and make a last audacious bid, take it or leave it bid, sometimes a player's head can be turned. I don't think in terms of a price, the fact that Newcastle right now are not offering 75, 80 mil, the moment that they do that in terms of pounds, then I think then we should be concerned. But right now, I genuinely, I'm not concerned right now. So I think we need to be. I think we should be concerned, but let's just see how this goes. And this is going to move fast. This is going to move quickly. Tobias says, I'm sure Leipzig will be waiting to see United's move. United, I think, have equaled or offered that. I don't think the price is an option unless Newcastle come out and offer 85 million. At that point, I'm out of that Sesko deal. I think it comes a point where you go, look, it's too much money. So, and I do believe that this is a final. I believe that this is another final for us to win. So we lost to Spurs. Are we going to lose this final? I do truly believe if we get Sesko, and I will come back to there's a couple of points in here about Højlund in there, is that are we going to lose this final? I think if we beat Newcastle to this player, I genuinely believe that it will pay off, but there's a Højlund element to this as well. Jay, hello mate, how are you doing? Jay, I think I've read that one. Hey Jimmy Bollard, this will accelerate the process. No harm, no foul. Should play exactly. This is gonna accelerate the deal. So we're gonna know quickly. I still maintain, as of yesterday, this channel was right, and it was right to go with what I believe, what we spoke about. I still believe that we've done that deal. Newcastle, I do believe, are just trying to get something done and just trying to, and I don't blame them for doing it. It's whether or not can we compete with that. Let's see what we can do. If we lose this race, then we can talk about that then. Tobias, Sesko and Højlund started following each other some days ago. Exactly. Jay, United, we have Mbeumo Cunha, who will take the pressure off of the number 9. Sorry, Jay, you said there's no point of buying Sesko if we're going to loan or sell Højlund. That's putting pressure on Sesko, relying on a kid again. Same failures. Jay, again, you always make some really good talking points. Like I really do think that you do. What we did to Højlund was disgusting. I'm not going to be persuaded or dissuaded from that opinion. Yes, there are people coming to the chat that don't like him and who think he's crap. I have a different opinion. I think that he came in 20 years old, asked to lead a line. Not fair whatsoever. And Amarin has come in, he's taking his time pre-season, and now he's starting to show something. Now, I do believe that we do need a second striker. I think the case here is that if Højlund can be used as a make-weight in the Sesko deal, I think that is what will be done. I don't agree with that. Jay, I'm in agreement with you to a degree on the basis that I think he should stay. Like I said, imagine two 22-year-old young bucks. Højlund is hungry. Sesko's hungry. They're both full of energy, purpose. Imagine having those two competing. That is what you want as a club. If United can use Højlund in a make-weight for Sesko, that is what they'll do. I don't think it's right. I don't necessarily agree with it, but that's what I think they do. Now, to come back what Tulip says, and I think Tulip makes a good point as well, is that Sesko, if he comes in, it'll be slightly different. I still don't agree with it, and I still think we need another striker to take the pressure off, but Mbeumo and Cunha will help that transition. Now, unlike Højlund, Sesko's not going to come into this club, and there's not going to be a... Amarin, for his credit, has created, he's starting to create a culture of support and a proper team. So he's going to come into that team, and I truly believe that these players around him will support that striker. So, you've got Cunha, Mbeumo can help with those goals as well. You've got Xerxes, potentially. Cunha could maybe play as a 9. So I think he stands a better chance. So I do think that will help. So I don't think that in terms of a support of your team around you, because don't forget Højlund come in with Sancho, Rashford, Anthony, these players who don't pass, who just care about themselves. Fernandez was shooting from 25 yards, trying to do the work of 10 players. So you got to think about that as well. So as much as I do agree, and I completely get that opinion, and again, I think that's a really good talking point. I also think Tulip Play makes a really, really good point that I think if Sesko comes in on his own, I think he'll have more of a support and he'll be set up to succeed as opposed to fail. But I think Højlund should stay because we do need another striker. Toxic United says final decision expected soon. I think this is going to move fast. We will know. I'll be surprised if we don't know today. Maybe they've said, look, you can wait till Monday, take the weekend to think about this. But I'd be expecting a decision really, really soon. Cunha and Burma were both players, and at number 10s they also need a rest. There's too much pressure on one number 9. Also, Xerxes is a number 10 to me. I think Jay, again, you make some good points there. We do need another number 9. We do need another 9, and whether that's Højlund, I'd like it to be Højlund, or whether it's another striker. We genuinely do need another striker, so we can't burn another player. There's no agreement. They just shot an arrow testing. That's it. Sesko wants us. That's what I think Newcastle have done. We can't be blind in this, and Newcastle need the only 2 strikers left really are Jackson and Watkins. Now Watkins, again, if Sesko does the unthinkable and we go for Watkins. Now, the problem with that is that we can't lose this race. If we lose this race, it's Jackson or Watkins, and Jackson's price will stay up. And I can see us giving Chelsea a Garnacho plus 60, or Watkins' price will not drop. So we've gambled. We've gone all in on Sesko. We've gambled. And if we are then scratching around for a striker, we'll end up paying 60 million for Watkins. Now, some of you may be happy with that. I'm not saying that that's not a good player, but not for 60 million. I can see what will happen. If we do not get Sesko, we're going to end up panicking, giving Aston Villa 60 million for Watkins and giving Watkins a 5-year deal, 250 grand a week. And that will be catastrophic. I think that would be an horrendous deal to do. I like the player, but not at those numbers. I think that will be an horrendous deal to do. So I think this is why we there's a lot depending on this deal, in my opinion, and we need to get this deal done. Chillet Play says, I'd put the sacked the dinner lady up front over Højlund. The scoring on the burden is less when you have goals coming from everywhere. Bruno, Mbeumo, Cunha. Again, guys, I think your both your points, I like them both. I'm somewhere in between them. I do think that we should keep Højlund, and unless we're going to get another striker, we keep Højlund until Christmas. And it could be that Højlund comes on this season and smashes it, but we have to look at history and logically on what Højlund's done so far. There's a high percentage chance that he won't. But does he deserve half a season under a coach who's clearly invested time in him? Yes, he does, because I think we've screwed him over a bit. So does he deserve that chance? Yes, he does. Worst case scenario is that he's not great and he gets sold in the next window. So I think you can't lose on Højlund. Tensu, legend of the chat. What do you say the latest about Benjamin Šeško with Newcastle? Why do Manchester United late sending the bid? So this is where we're at. For those of you who were joined, for those of you who were interested, again, I don't mind repeating myself. It's absolutely fun. I'm just literally checking my phone as things come through right now. So let's start off with David Ornstein because, let's start off where this all came from. So this came from last night from a Slovenian source, and basically what it says is that United, Newcastle had won the race. That's what he was saying, that Sesko has completely changed his mind. Now, this source had been proven as a load of rubbish before, but everybody else, the Sun, the Daily Mail, Metro, none of the credible people were really commenting on this, because obviously their livelihood depends on this, and unless they're double sure and they get it from the club, they're not going to come out on it. Last night, Šeško is going to Newcastle, apparently. My opinion on it was that unless Newcastle come out and make a ridiculous bid like £80 million, it's just not going to happen. Now, David Ornstein in the last hour and a bit come out and said Newcastle submit an offer to Leipzig for Euros wise for 75 plus 5, around the asking price. So again, I'm not worried about that price. I would be more concerned if that was 100 mil. Then Craig Hope, I referenced him yesterday as well. He was coming out and saying that Isak deal was rejected. So that indicates to me you only reject that deal if you can't get another player in. Now, Craig Hope has now come out and basically said that Newcastle have offered in terms of £65.5 plus 4.4, which is in the region of 69 for Benjamin Šeško, and he's waiting for a response. But club side of things were never thought to be the biggest obstacle. It's where the player wants to go. And then who I backed, and I still back his opinion, Ross Harwood has come out and said the Newcastle bid doesn't change the player's preference. He's chosen to come to United. That's where I'm at on this one. So, Tentu, that is where we are on that one. Let's go for another chat. Tentu plays. Jay says 70 mil was too much for Šeško. We keep making the same mistakes as before, just spending money. Let's go back up a little bit. Tensu, let's have a little look. Chilip, we don't have to. We just pay 65.5 and Šeško once he joins. Jay Knight says, Chilip, I think we must have phrased it wrong. What I mean is you can't play in better money. Yeah. Ruben Amarin Toxic says, Andre Nana is going to be better like the other guys that are going to get better this year. Toxic, if Ruben has come out and said that's a red flag for me. And Ruben, for me, some of the red flag things he does are, calling Luke Shaw world class. I know he has to back these plays, but there is no way Onana is going to improve. He's not an outfield player. You can't. You as a goalkeeper, you've either got it or you haven't, and he doesn't have it. I don't think the concerning thing for me is that there are no concrete reports coming out saying that Onana is going to leave. The reports are on Onana that he will leave if he's asked to leave. Get him out. Like I will not. I can't accept this season. So, breaking news. This is from Romano. Okay, so this has come out in the last 6 minutes. Is that Benjamin Šeško is not in the RB Leipzig squad today due to a transfer set to take place this month. No decision has been made on Šeško's camp on a new club. Newcastle ready since last week to pay what it takes, and United also in contact with Leipzig. This has literally just come out from Fabrizio. So Fabrizio is obviously on the fence on this one as well. But Fabrizio had literally just come out with this 7 minutes ago. Šeško is not in the Leipzig squad today due to a transfer to take place. No decision has been made on Šeško's new club yet. So that blows out the Slovenian bollocks from last night. That blows that out. We can't dismiss that Newcastle subsequently to yesterday, overnight, Newcastle have come back in, and so they should. They're going to launch everything at this play. Now, this has been corroborated that Newcastle have been ready since last week to pay what it takes. Now, they've been ready since last week. Now, if you read into that, what Romano has literally just said there, Newcastle have been ready since last week to do this deal. Ready to go, ready to pay whatever it takes for the player. Why hasn't Sesko gone already? Why hasn't this deal been done? And that's what you got to go on. And this is why it's really important to logically walk through all this, try to cut out all the noise and go. And that's from the horse's mouth. So Fabrizio has said that Newcastle have been ready since last week, willing to pay whatever Leipzig want and whatever the player wants. And if you look at what's been said on the gentleman's agreement, that there's a price that Sesko that can be done for a special club. Now, are Newcastle that special club? Not to upset Newcastle fans, I don't think they are. United for me would be one of those special clubs. So I still believe, and I think that Romano update literally has just dropped, and I will repeat that again. Sesko is not in the RB Leipzig squad today due to a transfer to take place this month. No decision has been made on Sesko's camp, so that backs up and that dismisses all the crap from the Metro and whatever else the Sun come out last night. Newcastle been ready since last week to pay what it takes. United are also in contact. So you can take that how you want, but if Newcastle have been ready since last week, they've clearly been on at the player, and I'm just checking as well to see if anything else has come out. Newcastle have been ready for this last week, ready to pay whatever Leipzig want, whatever the player wants, but and just have a little look to see what else is out. But the deal hasn't been done. So if Newcastle were ready to do that deal, they've obviously spoken to the player as well. Since last week, that deal hasn't been done yet. So if you're looking at this, I still believe that Sesko are trying as they might. Newcastle are trying as they might for Sesko, but I think Sesko, as we said yesterday, I think his mind has been made up, and I still think he's going to come to this club. But it depends if Newcastle do something crazy, and I think we just need to wait on that one as well. We can agree to disagree. For me, 70 million is a fair price for a generational prospect where he's had multiple good seasons. You make a fair point, but we need a proper number 9. So I'm loving this chat. I love this chat. It's really respectful, and you all put your opinions across. Where I'm at on this deal, for me, the reason why I'd be happy to pay that £70 million is, again, potentially a massive talent. But you look at the age of the player, he's just turned 22. If you spread that out over 5 years, he's still going to be 27. And he's still going to be worth, even if he plays poorly for 2 seasons, potentially, he could still become a really, really good player. I think we're in a better position with the 2 number 10s that we've signed for him to succeed. But when you spread that out over 5 years, he's still only going to just be 27. Now, at that point, we may sell him for the same price. Therefore, we've paid his wages for 5 years. We're going to get the money that we paid back for him. If not, if we have him for 10 years, that's 7 million a year. So I don't think that we can lose on this deal unless something catastrophic or bad happens to the player. In terms of financially, it makes sense. But in terms of playing staff, it is a punt. I think it's an educated guess of the player. I'm in the camp of I think he'll be a great player, and I think he's going to battle it out with the other strikers in the Premier League. We may have some of the best strikers now in the Premier League. So I think financially it makes sense. And this is why I think United are pursuing this deal as opposed to the Watkins deal, because Watkins, you take that money, you put it in the bin, you're never going to get that back. You're saying we are going to get him for his goals, hoping that gets us into the Champions League. If it doesn't, you're not getting that money back. That's gone in the bin. With Sesko, if you pay that money and he doesn't fire you into the Champions League, you can still get some of that money back, and he's still young enough. So Sesko makes sense, but it's, are we comfortable, or are you comfortable with a potential gamble on a player like that? Liverpool are, like Ekitike, 78 million. I mean, 75 million. I mean, I think that's a bigger gamble, but they're prepared to make a gamble. So are we prepared to do a Liverpool and back ourselves and trust what it is that we're trying to do? Tenja says United should persuade Šeško by considering the good that monthly, weekly, manual payment for him. If United do this, then we. The problem that we get with that is I don't disagree with you. Arman K, hi man, I hope you are doing really well, my friend. Is that we need to be careful about what we pay players. Now, if we were getting an Osimhen, or we were going to get a world-class number one striker, then you could persuade me maybe you pay him 400k. Sesko is not at that level yet. So if Newcastle come in, offer 75, 80k for Sesko, offer Sesko 400k a week, tax-free or whatever it is, see you later, Sesko. Like, we can't do those sorts of deals anymore. Sesko, for me, yes, I think he'll be a fantastic player. But if you're prepared to outlay all that money on a player, for me, that's too much money. And you walk away and you try and get a deal elsewhere. So there's a fine line between going all out for a player, a talented player, but then we've been burnt in the past. So are we going to learn from our mistakes? And I think, as Jay said there, there's a fine line for me. Sesko, 70 million, 72, maybe at the most, maybe if you're going to pay it over 3 to 4 years. But then the wages, I mean, he's not worth 400k. I mean, if this goes up to 80 million and 400k a week, I'm personally am out, and I'm comfortable with that. I think that's too much money. I think he's a great player, but there has to be a limit. You can't just go out and just sign these players, because that's what we've always done, and we need to break away from that. So we need to look at the investment. He's worth the money, 70 million, but you have to have a limit and a line. And for me, that line is about 72 million, 200k a week. I think for me is pushing it, but if that gets the deal done, then I'm comfortable with that. But anything more than that, and I think this is a non-viable deal, because we don't want to walk into that again. These players, because we have to take into account that he may not perform as we would expect him to. Let's go back through these chats. We're not linked to Watkins. You'd probably be Plan B. Let's have a little look. Plan B, Samu Akahoa. I'm loving the names, mate, but we're nowhere near these. I mean, we are Jackson, Watkins, Sesko. That is where we are. The 40 million of that will be saved by using Haaland in a deal can be reinvested into Mateta, if necessary, or a CM. A CM, I think, is on the cards. So Fabrizio has reported this as well. So I think a CM is definitely on the cards. Probably even slightly higher up now than a keeper. So once we know what we're doing with the striker, I do think we're going to go for a centre midfielder. And I think that's where we're going to go next. Toxic says we're a big dream advantage, which is Haaland for the deal. They want Haaland. We have Haaland. They have Sesko. We want Sesko. True. 100% true. But are we prepared to take a gamble on having one striker? one recognised striker. So I think that's a gamble as well. I Newcastle really putting the cat amongst the pigeons. I admire what they're trying to do. They are not backing down on this one, and I don't see why they should do. Newcastle are not backing down, and they're throwing a cat amongst the pigeons, which is going to force us to. At least what we know, this deal is going to be done soon. Watkins, it will be no less than 55-60, and this is the point: is that because we took a gamble on one of the players, Sesko was never going to hang around. So this fits into what Fabrizio has said. So Newcastle were ready to go last week with a bid. As much as they wanted, as much as the player wanted. Last week we were messing around between Watkins and Sesko. Sesko's basically come out and said, look, if you play me off, I'm going to go to Newcastle. United have come in and gone, Watkins, we're out. We're not going to pursue that bid. At that point, I think Villa would have done 45 mil. If we don't get Sesko, Villa are not dropping their price. They are not going to drop their price because they know that we will be desperate. And this is the problem now. It's either Sesko or bust. And that is where we are. Would you rather pay 72 mil for Sesko, Jackson, 80 million for Jackson, or 60 million for Watkins? This is where we are. And I don't think we're going to go for another striker. I think those are the three. And that is where we are. What uncomfortable news I heard around DT Media. If we don't sign him, we'll be shifting another good striker. Hopefully he'll be our player till next Friday. Let's see. Let's see, Tensu. I've no problem with selling Højlund. I honestly get it, but we need to replace him. Sesko and Vardy, or Sesko and Mateta, or Sesko and Wood, or somebody else. I make some good points there. Vardy not for me, only because I just don't. I'd much prefer Chris Wood. Sesko and one Wood. Wood would be expensive. I mean, Wood for me would be really, really expensive, but I do quite like that. Vardy for me. What you've got to think about, okay, and this is what I think about in my head, and let me know if you agree, is that when it comes to a second striker, they need to be of a level that's knocking on the door of your main striker. Now, the reason for this is because imagine a scenario is we get Sesko, Højlund goes, we get Vardy or Chris Wood in, okay? Not worried about Chris Wood because he did it last year. If you get Vardy in or Lewin, which I still think Lewin is there or thereabouts. If Sesko's injured for 2 months and you're starting up front with Lewin or Vardy, are you happy with that? I'm happy with Wood, but we have to be sensible with our second choice if we get a second choice striker. And as you said there, Jay, what happens if you get injuries? You know, and this is what we need to consider. This is why we need depth. If Højlund goes, we need to bring in another striker. As much as you've got Zirks, you can use Cunha, etc. We need another recognised striker. So, and if that's something that we do, then we need to be careful about who we sign, because if Sesko is out injured for say 2 or 3 weeks or a month, that striker needs to come in. Doesn't necessarily need to be the same level, but needs to be of a level that he can do something. And that for me is the danger. The Hexen says, so reports came out after that bid. RB wants details on the loan for Rasmus. Exactly that. I think exactly that. I agree with you completely. This time yesterday, I think Newcastle were in their little team thinking Jackson 70 million, awful. Watkins 60 million. And I'm still going to stand on this. I still think that we've agreed to deal with Sesko. He's happy. Leipzig are happy, and I think that deal was really getting close to being done. And then Newcastle went, look, we've got to go big, or that's it. They know. The thing is, if you can sell something for 130 million and you buy something for 70 million, you've got 60 million left. So that's why they can offer that. So Newcastle have gone, do you know what? What's the worst that can happen? He says yes. And that's what they did. They went out last night. They made a massive bid. Somebody's heard the bid. Somebody's let that bid slip. And that's why this has happened. That's why this is pushed. Has it been pushed out there so United make a bigger offer? Because let's not forget that maybe as much as there's an agreement in place, Leipzig want a bidding war. What club wouldn't want a bidding war? So maybe this is where this is going, is a bidding war for players. So, we can't discount that. But I do agree with the Hexian is that these reports were put out last night because Newcastle went out and made a bid, and there's no smoke without fire. And I do think RB want Rasmus on loan, so I wouldn't be surprised now if this, to counteract that bid, that United go, look, Newcastle don't have anything else other than money, but Leipzig may want Rasmus. So if that happens, then Rasmus may be a make weight in that deal. I don't want it to happen. I'm not comfortable with that, but if that's what they do to get Sesko, then that's what they do, and they're going to have to die on that sword. United will hurry to get him. I hope so. Places Vardy, Callum Wilson are all free agents and will be easy to sign as backups if needed. I wouldn't mind Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Tulip, please no. It's a backup to Sesko, better than Chucky Maguire. Calvert-Lewin, I would rather a Vardy or a Wilson. If you look at Lewin, you might as well put a cardboard. You might as well put a stone up front. Lewin, injury prone, and this is my opinion, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. If you look at Lewin's stats, you might as well put a lump of coal up front. Lewin, under no circumstances, for me, I want him. Wilson, fine. Vardy, fine. Calvert-Lewin, and I've maintained this, I've been saying since I did my first stream on this, Calvert-Lewin I think is until he goes, there's a strong possibility that he comes to us. I will not be supporting that signing, irrespective if he bangs in 10 goals. I'm not supporting that signing. I can't get on board with it. I can't. I would rather sign anybody else. I'd rather get a Garlo back on loan, Weghorst on loan. Calvert-Lewin for me is an absolute no. Absolute no. But I do respect the opinion. Of course I do. Up top for final 10 minutes. I wouldn't even put ACL up front for. So I wouldn't put him up front for a minute. Hexen, Newcastle bidding means nothing. RB is asking United for a loan of Erasmus plus cash. Exactly. As Fabrizio, for those of you who like a Fabrizio bomber or Fabrizio uptake, he said himself, to quote him, is that, I'm just going to look through there. So, breaking news. David Ornstein is West Ham have agreed to sign Callum Wilson as a free agent. So, Wilson is now gone, and Wilson is going to go to West Ham. So Callum Wilson is now off of the table. So that one's gone. So Calvert-Lewin is still up for grabs, the same as Vardy, and that terrifies the life out of me. I'm not going to lie. So have another quick look. See what else is going on. 2 hours ago. So Fabrizio Romano, for those of you. Here you go. So basically what he said is that Newcastle have been ready with this deal since last week. They've clearly been talking to the player. That's your opinion, but I'm alleging that they've spoken to this player already. Why is this deal not done? If you wanted to go to them, then it would have been done by now. So I do think that Rasmus Højlund will play a major part here. I think Amorim doesn't want him to go. Obviously, it depends on what Rasmus wants to do. But I'm starting to think now that United will want to save face, get this done, and Rasmus maybe make it. We will see very soon, because tomorrow there's a game, and we'll very quickly see if that's true or not. If he's not in the side to play Everton tomorrow, if reports start to come out tomorrow that he's not in this side, then I think he's going to be used as a make-weight loan. And we may see Cunha up front. We may see Xerxes up front. So if we see that, then I think the writing is definitely on the wall there. Niche fan, welcome, legend of the chat. Toxic, we can't afford him. Tulip, with respect, we're not getting... Niche fan, with respect, we're not getting Sesko. Yeah, Callum Wilson's gone. I like that opinion, Niche, because you've set your stall out as well, and you're just like, we're not going to get Sesko. Someone's got to be correct. Someone's got to be incorrect on this. You know, here's a Vardy. Oh, let's see what Tulip's put in the chat as always. Vardy F brief. Let's have a little look. I would. So Wilson's gone, right? Wilson has now gone. If you're asking me who I would go for as a free agent, genuinely, I would go for Vardy. I don't want to, but if we're looking at a Premier League proven striker, not to necessarily get goals, but for Obi would benefit from Vardy. If that's who we're going to get, on the basis of if that's what we're going to get for the experience, exactly, Jay, I would take Vardy over Lewin any day of the week. Agreed with you. So if Vardy is the way that we would go for a free striker, then right now Wilson's gone. So I think if you're talking about free strikers, I think Vardy is probably the way we go. Tulip, I agree with you. I think Vardy is done. He is done. Obi is better, but Obi is 17. So I think if you're almost going to get a Vardy, but again, I can't contradict what I've just said, is that if we're going to get a second striker who's cheap or free, he has to be able to come in for Sesko or whoever's going to play up front. So we can, I think, I'll leave the chat debate that one out. Have a little look. Niche fan says we're not going to get Sesko. Let's see, Niche fan. I think there's more of a chance now that we're not going to get him than yesterday. I think yesterday, all in, all happy. I think we're on the cusp of it yesterday. Newcastle have gone all out and put a bid in here. So you may be proved right there, my friend. I just want to see two natural number 9s up front. That's a young and a high bar. That's experience we get off the bench. Exactly. And that's exactly what I want to see as well. I want to see you could have a slightly older striker. Rasmus Højlund, I want to see him play next season. Two young guns competing, but I just don't think that's going to happen. Without that happening, I want to see two proper number 9s, either fighting it out or a more experienced one pushing that young gun out there. So Lewin is younger than Vardy and Wilson. These two are washed up. Calvert-Lewin is not a bad option. Thank God Wilson is washed and is always injured. DCL, never going to change my mind on that. I respect that opinion. If you look at his stats from last season, they're utterly atrocious. Look at him from the previous seasons. Lewin is done. Lewin is washed up and done by what, 27, 28? But he's just not for me. I cannot get on board with that at all. Trash at everything, literally. That's so. Giles, legend of the chat, is back in there, my friend. And again, you did make this point yesterday, and I'm going to say that as well, because I think you're right. It looks like my 35% looks more and more sure now. Exactly, Giles. You know, I hold my hands up and say that I can't disagree with you there, my friend. You were first on that. Rasmus has said he does not want to go to Leipzig, so that one is not happening. Interesting one there, Joe. I would have been 70-30 yesterday, probably more 80-20 yesterday, that Sesko was going to come to us, just because of that, until the deal signed and Newcastle are going to lump in a massive bid. But I would probably say I'm now more 60-40, because I think that Sesko does want to come, but Newcastle are doing everything they can to get this player. So I'm more 60-40. Giles 35-65. He's been like that since yesterday, and he has been saying that. So we'll see what happens, Joe. But I'll give you the credit there, my friend. You said that, so you know, again, kudos to you, my friend. I'll take Vardy over DSL. Nishvan says, where are we? Operating under the assumption we're getting Sesko. If we had the money, we would put the bid in already. Nishvan, I think we have put the bid in already, mate. Nishvan, again, this is just my opinion. This is just my opinion on it, and basically to say that, where's our bid? Okay, so, and this is my opinion on it. Now, Newcastle haven't made it an official bid yet. You don't make an official bid until it's going to be accepted. So you can make a bid. Traditionally, you make a bid, right? Liverpool made an inquiry, made £120 million unofficial inquiry bid, and then they officially bid like 110 million. Okay, we don't, as a club, officially bid until it's going to be accepted, pretty much. And we also don't bid until we know a player is going to come to us. That is our strategy this year, is that if a player doesn't want to come to us, we don't make official bids. So we're not going to make an official bid until we know Leipzig will accept the bid. We are working with Leipzig to get the bid done, pretty much. So when you know a bid comes in from us, you know Leipzig will pretty much agree to that bid. And this is what we're doing now. We're trying to get Rasmus involved, I think, now. But I believe we've already put in a bid. We had to put in a bid to enter the race to talk to Sesko. Sesko was never talking to clubs that didn't put a bid in first. So we had to put a bid in first. We've put a bid in behind the scenes, and that's what happens. Is you bid behind the scenes, two clubs talk, you say, look, if I put X bid in, are you going to accept that? And then you put in that bid. However, let's just say, for example, we've agreed a bid of 69 million, right? And they say, if you put in that bid officially, we'll accept that bid. But then you then go, well, actually, no, I'm going to put in a bid of 64.5. And they'll say, well, we agreed 69 million. So you put in an official bid and you're trying to save yourself 5 mil. So don't be dissuaded from that. We have put in a bid. A bid is in there. We've discussed in the bid, and then we'll put in an official bid. So the bid is in there. Otherwise, Sesko won't be here. Newcastle will offer whatever Leipzig want. That deal would be done now. We've put in a bid, and Newcastle and the Sesko wants to come to us, but Newcastle are pretty much doing everything that they can to get this deal done. And Jay, I'll read your point out because you've made a cracking point again, my friend. We say, but I'm liking the comments, Niche fan. I think you are making some cracking comments as well. Chip players, I'd rather play any of our 10s as a false 9 rather than Vardy at 40. I agree with you. No one wants Vardy, but we aren't exactly knocking down Dembele's door anymore. We're not the same. I don't disagree with you there at all. This was my best scenario. Watkins, Højlund, Vardy for a season, all that experience plus their instant plug-ins. I don't disagree with that, mate. Any big club would go and get Watkins, but it's the money. It's just that money. Vardy for me, I mean, if you've got those 3 players, then why not? And you've got OB as well. I don't disagree with that, and you may still get your wish on that one. Tulip Place says that's too short term. We will be back next summer needing strikers. Sesko can be on number 9 for the next 10 years. And that is a consideration as well. And that is why I think United have gone for Sesko, because of that reason. For financially, length of deal financially as well, and the length of time that he can be at the club. Are we going to wear our home kit? I don't know, actually. We've been wearing the away kit because we're basically trying to flog that away kit. So I suspect we're going to be wearing our away kit because we're basically trying to flog it, mate. So, let's have a little look. What else have we said on here? Mark Stewart, hello, buddy. I hope you're doing well. It's funny. If we didn't have the money, we wouldn't have dropped the Watkins interest. It's just down to Sesko. Christopher, let's have a look. Mark Stewart. So, yeah. So, Ravel, Christopher, is your weapon? I don't know. Mark Stewart, Amarin, was he our weapon with the Gyökeres deal? I don't know. Amarin couldn't persuade players to come in. I'm hoping that's the case. So, let's see. Amarin could be the one. Jay says, Glinios out. This is embarrassing, exhausting, and turning us fans all love the same club against each other. They've totally drained us. Jay, exactly, my friend. The Mbermo deal was the same. To be fair, the Sesko deal is not dragging out really, but they just need to get it done, mate. I mean, I'll be fair on Sesko and just say, look, we've only decided to go for him last week, even though we have been talking to him for a while. We only decided to go for him last week, and we're in a bidding war, a race with Newcastle, so they can only move as fast as the club and the player wants. But once we've decided and we know Newcastle are no longer a threat, I agree with you. We need to get this deal done. So I'm not necessarily against the club on this one, only on the basis that we lose this deal. This deal is there to be done for us, and once we know that we've won this race, we need to get it done quickly. So I will hold that for now, but I'm always Ineos out, the Glazers out. I'll never be persuaded from that. Smart Shoot says United will get him. Newcastle have not been scouting him. Sesko knows. Mark Stewart, I agree with you. I think he's coming. So Niche Fan says, okay, I understand what you're saying. So what do you think our formal official bid will be, and when will we know about it? So What's been reported today from Romano and Ornstein is that the bid, and I'll tell you what the bid is. I should tell you what the bid is. So what's that? That's Craig Hope. Okay, so between Ornstein, it's 2 weeks until this is exactly niche fan, exactly that, my friend. So between Ornstein's put it in the euro amount, and Hope has put it into the pounds amount. So Newcastle have offered 65.5 plus 4.4. So it's about 69 mil. Well, 69.9, 70 million. You're not going to have to match that bid. So we know it's going to, and this has been reported a few weeks back. We know this bid has to be in around the region of 70 mil. Now it's how we structure that deal. This is what we've been talking about. This is what I do believe that United have agreed. We may have agreed for something like, maybe it was a 63, 64 plus 7 or whatever it was. But Newcastle have now upped that bid and gone, look, we're going to offer you 70 million. If Newcastle go up to 75 million pounds, we need to match that bid. So at some point, Leipzig are going to have to go, look, we accept the deal, because ultimately Newcastle can go offer you 80 million. So right now, our bid needs to be in the region or around 65.5 plus 4.5. We may just go, look, we'll give you 72 if we can pay over 4 years. So as of now, our official bid will have to be at least 65.5 plus 4.4. And it has to go in soon. Like this cannot... This will be done, as you said there, 2 weeks until the start of the season. This is going to get done. It wouldn't surprise me if we hit something today, tomorrow. Typically, weekends are slow. Sesko may have been told, look, you don't need to rush it. You can wait until next week. But it is going to be done by Monday, Tuesday next week, because it has to be. For us fans, it's going to be good because we're going to know. But as you just said there, niche fan, Newcastle can pay in one go because they've got the money coming in for Isaac. I don't think Liverpool are going to give him 130 million pounds in one go, mate. I just don't see. I don't see that happening. The first instalment might have to be 60 million or 50 million. So I don't think they're going to pay that in one go, mate. That is just not going to happen. You know, they're going to know that they're going to have that in the bank, but they still won't be able to go, look, here's 70 million. Because don't forget, PSR as well, for them, is still a big deal because they still have to balance the books. So if Newcastle could do what City did when they come in and just spend money, this deal, I believe, would have been done last week. They wouldn't need to bid. They would walk in there and go 400k for Sesko, 75 million to Leipzig, deal done. But that's the problem now with PSR and all this stuff, is that they can't. So I'm not worried. I'm not worried about necessarily the initial bids, but it's what they will prepare to go up to. But can they, for PSR purposes, can they actually go up to that? Because they will still need to balance the book. So I'm not really concerned. It's just that Newcastle cannot get that money out and cannot spend that money. Yeah, they can't spend their own money. And that's the thing. Whoever we sign, I will back them as soon as I can see attitude, laziness, and injury. I'll lose interest. Exactly. It does make it. It makes it a bit boring, doesn't it? When we've got these players who don't want. I think that Amrin's knocked that out of these players. If I'm being honest, I think if you are lazy, you don't get in this team. But the detriment to that is that do you lose a couple of players because obviously they can't get into the team. So before I go, those of you who just joined, obviously a like, favourite and subscribe would be amazing. Get into this amazing community, into this amazing chat. You know, one of us in here is going to be accurate in what we think, and that's the point. Is we all have our different views. We're all respectful in here, but the opinion is so vast ranging, but it's always based on logic in here, that one of us is gonna be correct, and I'll give you a massive credit for that one. So for those of you who just joined, where we are last night, basically Newcastle stuck in a bid. I assumed that, and I thought it was going to be much bigger than what's been reported today. Slovenian reports come out and said Newcastle have said that Sesko has gone to Newcastle. That's where he wants to go, but that has been destroyed today. Metro, DM, the Sun all ran on that, and it's just a load of nonsense. They have put a bid in. Newcastle have put a bigger bid in, but if you're looking at Craig Hope and Ornstein, they basically have said that it's a 65.5 plus 4.4. I'm not worried about that bid at all. I think we're expecting that. Aaron Robertson says he's going to Newcastle. He said his goodbyes to his teammates. Aaron, sorry, my friend. I don't believe that. You're entitled to your opinion, and if that's true, then you may have heard that. But it's according to Fabrizio, and this has been in the last hour, and I will quote him 50 minutes ago, is that Šeško is not in the RB squad. That backs up what you were saying. Okay, he's not in the RB squad. Xavi Simons is not in the squad. No decision has been made yet on a new club. Newcastle have been ready since last week with an offer. They've offered the player, they've offered the club, but he still hasn't gone. So I'm not going to dismiss what you're saying, but I don't think that's correct. Right now, maybe he has chosen them, but nobody's come out and saying that. Aaron, I'm just going to say you couldn't possibly know. So that is an hypothesis that you're making. That is a gamble, like I made my gamble yesterday based on what I think's right, and I was in the camp that Šeško is going to come to us based on the things that I know. Now I have to slightly shift based on that, but nobody knows yet. The only player that knows is Šeško. So I do believe he's saying goodbye to his players, but no decision has been made yet. You may be right in the annals of time, but to say he's going to go to Newcastle right now, that's a gamble and a pun. But you might be right on your gamble. Let's see what happens there. You're giving me hope about Šeško. However, I don't see a formal bid confirmed by Ornstein this coming week. I don't see it happening. A niche fan again. We will see. We may never put in an official bid, and that that is the nature of how we do business, right? Is that we may never put in an official bid. If United know that Newcastle have won this race, they'll pull out and they will not make a bid. That's you're right. We will not make a bid. The only time you will know that we've made an official bid is if we're going to get this player. The Imbermo deal was slightly different because we knew the player wanted to come to us, so we could afford to make those bids, and that's why we spent ages messing around, because we knew that we could make those bids, right? That was because the player. But there's two clubs involved here. The moment that Newcastle submit an official bid, or we submit an official bid, that is where you know where he's going to go. So if we put in an official bid, and you may never know, then that's what's going to happen. So you may be right. We may never make a bid, but the moment that we do, then that's when you're going to know. Ornstein is the most. He is. I agree with you. Sesko will come to Manchester. Aaron, what's that? And that's what I'm. Yeah, I done Neil Driscoll. Would you go for Boniface if you get Sesko? Absolutely not. He's not for me. I think he's a big lump. I think he went to Saudi, but he's definitely not for me. West Ham have signed Callum Wilson. Yeah. Dubai says news is not looking good. That's why I turned it off. I think it's a concern, but I'm not worried yet. I'm not. So Joel says it looks like Newcastle could have both Isaac and Sesko for next season. Joel, you're depressing me. No, they could do, my friend. Absolutely could do. They won't. They'll have either one or the other. I don't think they'll do both. Aaron says he's 1 to 2 to go to Newcastle and 11 to 8 to go. I don't look at those, mate. To be honest with you, I don't go by the betting odds. You know, you look at how the betting odd, the market can shift. It's like stocks and shares, right? Stocks and shares can be heavily influenced by people who put stuff out there. They can manipulate the markets. So the betting odds are only based on basically what's out there. So the betting odds would have shifted last night on the basis that some Slovenian guy decided to put something out there that's not correct. The Sun, they were on it. DM were on it. Metro was on it. So that's going to shift the markets, right? We were odds on for the Gyökeres deal. We were favourites to get the Gyökeres deal done. We were on odds on favourites. But look how that turned out. So it doesn't mean you're wrong. Doesn't mean that the betting odds are wrong. But I don't base my opinion based on that. I don't take a look at that at all. Doesn't mean that they're wrong, but I don't base it on that. I base it, what's it in my head, logic. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong, but I don't base it on that. Dubai says that he didn't say he wanted us or Newcastle. He's just in silence. He is. But let's just imagine, right? What when the biggest clubs in the world offer you 250k to 100k to come to the biggest club in England, okay, and then Newcastle come up. They've got Champions League and they offer you another 150k. You're gonna have to think about it. You know, in the case, you know, a good example of that is Fernandes. We got offered 120, 130 million, and he got offered 500,000 more than that a week, and he turned it down. So, and he still took 2 weeks to think about it. So it doesn't mean to say that, you know, Sesko is going to choose him, but it is a cause for concern. Okay, Watkins instead. Neil, my only problem with Watkins, my friend, is he's going to be 60 million. 60 million, and you're going to take that 60 million and you're going to put it into the bin. And if Watkins doesn't fire us into the Champions League, doesn't fire us into European football, then that's a bigger waste of money than 70 million on Sesko. So I don't disagree with you that Watkins will probably be next, but he's going to be 60 million. And that for me is a bigger gamble than Sesko. But if it is Watkins, then we've got to support him and give him our backing. The odds are against us. This fan, I don't think they are, mate. I really don't think they are. I personally don't think the odds are against us at all. I think that it's 50-50. I think it's 60-40 to us right now, and I think the deal's been done, mate. I'm confident. So Aaron says no. The betting odds shifted because they matched what Leipzig want for him, mate. Again, you could be right. I don't look at the odds, so I don't take them into account, but that's interesting to know. Yep. Two weeks to go. We need him here ASAP. Exactly. And we're going to know, mate. We're going to know quick where he's gone. Jay says, in Earth to Ineos, get on with it. Good heavens. Exactly. Just get on with it. Just get on with it. Do it. Get it done. Let's move on. If we know it's Sesko, if we don't get Sesko, I want to know why not. And I think we need to discuss that. If and when we know what is going to happen. Gaza went to Spurs because they bought his mum and dad a house. Exactly, mate. Gaza would have been amazing. I remember when we tried to sign him. He would have been immense. I mean, he would have come to this club and been a different beast. I remember that. No, I remember when Ronaldinho, when we were basically going to sign him, and then he went to Barcelona. So we were going to sign Ronaldinho from PSG, and we thought that we had him for about 32 million, and he went to Barcelona. Gutted. His agent is a big fan of us. How would like if not Sesko? Who would I like if not Sesko? Eric Adair's been mentioned a couple of times. This be some other players. It'd have to be Watkins for 45 million, but I don't think it is. Watkins would be a logical choice, but if we're not going to go that, then I generally would want to go for a cheaper other striker until maybe next season. But I think if we don't get Sesko, it's Sesko or bust, or we're going to get stung for a striker that we didn't necessarily want. That's going to be very expensive. So I think that's where we are. Is our board back in Amrin? They are proper stretching his window out. Snail pace. Jay, do I think they're backing him? If they get Sesko, then yes. But it's all spin, mate. And you know, a lot of it is spin as well, my friend. I mean, are they really backing him? We've got two signings. None of them played in the last game. You know, I don't disagree with you. You know, are they backing him? I think they are trying to back him, but money's a problem. Neil says we still need a goalkeeper, midfielder. Good news, midfielder is, according to Fabrizio, there's no news on a midfielder, but we are going to go for a midfielder next. So Belieber is obviously the one that we all want to get. I think that's too expensive, but I think next week is when we'll start to see news on a centre midfielder and a goalkeeper. We do need a goalkeeper. That's just fact. Evan Nielsen, not for me. Wasn't really impressed with him. You know, maybe. I mean, I've not seen a lot of him playing, but let's see. They are backing him. They have given Rubin everything, including more staff. Sometimes transfers are not worth the money. Tobias says this situation is tense. And Mbemodi wasn't a problem, even if Spurs. So far for Sesko, he said nothing. We have thrown in a bid, nor have we thrown in a bid. Tobias, I think I'll be consistent with what I said, is that we don't put in bids until we know we're going to get the player. That is how we work. We don't chuck in a bid unless we know. So we will work with Leipzig to get a bid and a deal done, and then we'll put in an official bid when we know we can get a deal done. That is simply how we work. Jay says English promised us best in class, a war chest of recruitments. I haven't seen that. Exactly, Jay. I will, as I always do, will give you my opinion. Spin, spin, spin. This is another semi-glazer summer. Ineos are mouthpieces of the Glazers. They are here for nothing but profit. They are here for the regeneration. They are here to make money from this club. They're not here for the betterment of the club. Everything they said was complete spin, and they're here to make money from the club. They're not here to get best in class. Everything that they said was nonsense. Sir Jim is here for his connections in the government. He is here to make Glazers money. 2017-18, the Glazers had plans already for the regeneration. That's why Ineos are here. Never forget that. They no experience. The Nice was an absolute disaster. Best in class is a load of nonsense. We've just been spun a yarn, but they need to do something. They brought in these best in class, and I've not seen it just yet. They're trying to do things behind the scenes. You know, let's not forget Ashworth. What a disaster that was. So we are saddled with debt. Nothing has changed, and that is what they're here for. So we've signed 2 players, and as we've spoken about on here, the fact that none of those players played in the last game, I think, is disgusting. We've signed 2 players, and it's almost like the fan base has almost been hoodwinked into thinking we've signed tons and tons of players. We've signed 2 players. That's all we've signed. Cunha's played a game and a half, and that's all we've signed. So let's see what happens at the end of the window, whether Amrin's been backed. If we pull out of Sesko, I want to know why, and then we can do an analysis of that afterwards. So let's see what we do with this Sesko deal first. Let's have a look. Giles says, for the first time in years, had black numbers in the quarter report. Ineos trying to fix a broken mess. Cannot expect everything in a year. Again, Giles, a very intelligent point to make, my friend. My opinion on it is that ultimately Ineos chose to buy into this club. Sir Jim chose to stick his big nose in this club, and he decided to get involved. He didn't have to. I give them no credit whatsoever for trying to fix this club, and I should tell you for why. Is that they didn't need to come into this club. Qatar were ready to buy this club, clear the debt, get rid of all this mess, and whether we agree with that or not, Ineos were going to come in and clear the debt. Ineos have facilitated the Glazers, the enemies of this club, and there is no excuse. And I don't judge people whoever they support. That's up to you. I will never necessarily call you out on that, because that is your opinion and that's your choice. That's not how I work. But the Glazers are enemies of this club. They bought us on debt. They've never put a penny of their own money into this club. They've let our home rust and rot to a point where it cannot be fixed. It will cost more money to fix our club and our home more than anything else. They have never put a penny in this club. They don't care about this club. Ineos came in and facilitated the Glazers. They've come in and let them still do what they need to do. They are the faces. So when I hear opinions like they're trying their best, they were in their black, I don't disagree with that opinion, and this is not me calling you out, but my comeback to that is Ineos didn't need to do that. They chose to. They chose for us to keep the debt. They chose for us to still be in this position. It's almost like if someone says to you, if you're going to smack your face on that wall, you're going to wreck your face and have a nosebleed, and you walk up to the wall and you headbutt the wall, you smash your face up, your nose is covered in blood, and you start complaining about it. But you didn't need to do it. There is no reason for Ineos to get involved, but they decided to. So I do not have any sympathy. This is this is where we are, and Ineos have to make the best of it. So Bobby's in the chat, legend of the chat. So Ineos didn't have to do this. So I give them no credit at all because we had a way out. Glazers were going to clear this debt, so there'd be no black numbers. Everything would be in, we would be financially free. But Ineos decided to stick their nose in and facilitate the Glazers. So whatever our problems are now as a result of them. So I give them no credit at all. They need to find the money and they need to make business happen. Can easily counter this summer window with loads of talents out there under 20 mil. Exactly. Sesko says, I want to argue too much with Qatar. I want them, but they do not want United. And sadly, they give up in May and they do not. Joe, and exactly, my friend, I'm not, I promise you, I'm not disrespecting your opinion. This is where I'm at on it, right? You get all sorts of opinions on this, right? So you'll get either end of the scale who would be like, it should be Qatar in, and anybody that thinks like that Ineos are in, they're scumbags, or you got that side of it would go, well, Ineos are doing a cracking job, and if you don't think that, then you're awful. Like those opinions, that's your opinion, but I'm never going to fall like that. You can have those opinions, but their opinions, I think you have to go with what you think is right. And Joe, I think that, I respect your opinion. You're a legend of the chat, and I respect your opinion on that. The reason why the Glazers wanted the amount of money that they did was because their regeneration project, and that's what's come out of all this. And Qatar weren't prepared to pay that. So I think you're right in that respect. I think maybe they could have fought harder. Ultimately, when Ineos come and took over the club, we lost. We lost that, and we still got the debt. So we lost. So there's no point I can give my opinion on it, but again, there's no point in me going too hard on it because at the end of the day, they're here and they're going to be here for a long time. So I just have to crack on with it. Niche fan says, at what point do the council close down Old Trafford? Exactly, mate. How long? It's going to be 5 years until the stadium's built, and then at that time, it may have fallen down. So they're going to have to spend money on it. But the stadium is gross. Before I go, I'll read out some of the chats. Let's have a little look. We need a first team players, keeper, centre midfielders. There is no excuse to meet these targets in one summer. I agree with you, Jay. I demand a striker. I demand a centre midfielder. I demand a defensive midfielder. I demand a goalkeeper. And there is no excuses here. Ineos are not better than the Glazers. I completely agree with you. Ineos are just using excuses. Exactly. And we're going to find that out in August. And when we find out when the window shuts, then we can come back on here and we can talk this thing out, because those are the people who are, and there are some channels out there who are on the side of Glazers and the Ineos and trying to say that they're doing a good deal. Let's see what happens come when the window shuts. Let's see if they're still saying the same thing there. The problem is too big for Ineos to fix, like Thames Water. They just take the dividends out. Exactly. Unless Ineos, if I would not have a problem with Sir Jim or Ineos if they came in and they bought the club. If they bought the club and they still had debt there, I'm not happy. But if they'd have come in and say reduce that debt by 50% or come in and try to do something, I'd be open to that. But they've done nothing. The debt is still there. Nobody's clearing the debt. And that is my biggest problem. If Sir Jim had have come in, cleared the debt, he just gave £1 billion to the leeches, and he was comfortable with that. And that doesn't fly with me at all. So Hackney to Ipswich for 15 million. Well, what's the excuse? Jay's because we're poorly run, my friend. Tensu, there are news from Saudi club to offer to sign Fernandez. Fernandez said no. So they're going to come back in for him. Let's see what develops there. An hour and a half show, absolutely amazing. A few seasons ago, 25 mil, exactly. I'm going to end it there, guys. I could talk to you for hours and hours upon end on this. I think, again, another amazing show. Just before we go, I will have a little check to see what is out there. Fabrizio saying anything else? No. See if Ornstein's saying anything else. Ross Harwood, who I've backed. I am rooting for Ross. Right, so update for you. Update ready for an update. Ross Harwood, who I've back in this, he's just saying that Højlund is not a crucial part of the deal for Sesko. United have money to spend. Plan for Højlund to leave, and there are other clubs interested beside RB Leipzig. Most important to note is Sesko wants to come to United. He's waiting for our official bid. Time to remain calm. Let me check Ornstein. Let me see what Ornstein's saying. He's not saying anything there. But just to update you on Ross Harwood, who I back based on what I think, basically come out 24 minutes ago and has said the following: Højlund is not a crucial part of the deal for Sesko. United have money to spend. A plan for Højlund to leave, but there are other clubs interested in him other than RB Leipzig. Most important to note, Sesko wants to come to the club. He's waiting for our official bid. Time to remain calm. And that is where I'm going to leave it there. Is that, again, and Bobby's right. I'm going to give Bobby the last word on this one. Legend of the chat. Glazers would have gone bust if Sir Jim didn't. He basically, exactly. If he hadn't have come in, stuck his nose in, then he wouldn't be here now. Exactly, Jay. Exactly. So, on that note, I will briefly go back over this for anyone who joined or seen or just so we can look back on this in time. So last night, Slovenian reporter, I jumped on that, came on here, give you my opinion on that, and basically said that the only way that Newcastle get back into this race is if they agree a ludicrous amount. Everybody jumped on that as well. The Daily Mail, the Sun, the Metro, they were all saying that Sesko has chosen to go to Newcastle. Fine. Then we started getting reports this morning, Fabrizio, etc., saying, look, guys, you just need to calm down. He's not accepted anywhere else. People are still jumping on that. And then we basically then had to go with what I thought last night was that Ornstein has said that Newcastle have come in with a bid of €75, 75 million plus 5. Craig Hope, DM for the North, has basically come in and corroborated that and said that they want 65.5 plus 4.4. Then Ross Harwood, who I back because I believe that's right, basically then said Newcastle bid doesn't change the preference. He's hanging his career on this one, saying that Sesko is going to come to us. That is where I'm at. So Jay said, I'll add you on Twitter. Cheers, buddy. I'll stick it in the chat. Let me grab it for you, my friend. Your channel. I will put my details in there. I should really put them up before every stream, shouldn't I, really? Let me grab it, my friend. Feel free to contact me. Let me know. Craig Hard has then come out and said that, and then the last 23 minutes, before that, Fabrizio has basically come out and then said that Leipzig have given him time off the train, so he needs to decide his club. Now, Ross Harwood has come back out and said in the last half an hour, is that Højlund is not a crucial part of the deal for. Højlund is not a crucial part of the deal for Sesko. United have money to spend. Plan for Højlund is to leave, so the plan is for him to leave. But there are other clubs interested other than RB Leipzig. The most important thing to note is Sesko wants to come to United. He's waiting for our official bid. Time to remain calm, and that is where I'm going to leave it there. So I'm going to remain calm. I'm still going to say that I believe he's coming to us. I still believe that we've put in a bid. I still believe that he's waiting on us to make that bid. And I believe that bid is going to come in soon. So thank you for those who are watching, who've watched. As I always say, what amazes me and what I'll always be thankful of is that you guys, you cannot buy time. You've given me your time today. It's ridiculous. I can't believe that you've given me your time. This community is intelligent. I love the chat. I love our different views. We can agree to not agree on things like niche fans' opinions. I think are brilliant. You've got so Jay's in there as well. Bobby's a legend of the chat. Tulip Plays is a legend of the chat as well. Tensu's in there. Joel's in there. Neil's been in there today. Tobias has been there as well. You know, if I forget to mention you, I apologise. Just amazing chat as always. And I genuinely just cannot believe that you give me your time. I love this community. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We are on the journey to 6,000. I want to push this more so we get more people in here, but I genuinely thank you so much. It means so much to me, and I think everybody in this chat as well. So if anything does break, I'll jump back on again. I'll probably be out and about and on the phone. Let me know on X or Outlook or wherever else you've got, and yeah, we can catch up and keep each other sane. So no, thank you, Tensu. Thank you for being here and allowing me to talk to you amazing people. So I will see you very soon. Fingers crossed on the Sesko deal. I'm in the camp of he's coming. Let's see what happens in the next couple of hours and days. See you guys very soon.